Throughout all of history and time, human beings have had this tendency to stick to routine, and as a result of this, traditions tend to get formed, particularly around food and beverage. For example, I'm from Ireland, and drinking black tea is a very common thing that we do here. In the Middle East, they might drink a particular type of coffee. You could go on and on, but today I want to talk about a tradition from South America that was shared to me in the last couple of years whilst traveling, and that is yerba mate. Mate is an infused drink prepared by steeping the dried leaves of the yerba mate plant in hot water. A bombilla or bombilla, or simply a straw, is used to drink the mate and filter out the leaves, so you're left with a hot drink comparable to herbal tea. It's grown in South America, but you can order it online, which is what I do. And this is what it's all about. It's basically just tea, but at the same time, a lot more than that, because there's like a ritual involved in the preparation, and you can drink it by yourself, or you can drink it in community with friends, and to me it's like an active meditation. You give it a little drink, and it's considered polite to finish it off with a nice big slurp. Yeah, try it.
There's suck.
Yeah.
It tastes like grass.
What? So while I was traveling in Turkey a couple of years ago, I had the privilege of sharing mate with a guy from Argentina called Nico, who has come to be a very dear friend of mine. Now, obviously, I'm just a blow-in to the tradition, but I wanted to get some insight from the perspective of somebody that's actually from the area where it's grown and, you know, the land of mate, you could say. Hi, Nico.
Hola, David.
What was the first memory you have of having mate?
The oldest memory is like while my mother was working when I was very little, and she teach me how to prepare mate to give her while she was working. I was around like 6 years old, and she teach me how to prepare mate. You know, there's like a writer and author that I like. That's an Argentinian writer, Hernán Casiari, that he says in a short story, he says like a kid becomes a man the first time that you were alone in your place, in your house, and for the first time you have the necessity or the need to drink mate alone, so you go and you prepare and you drink mate alone. I also remember like the first time that I did it, and I heat the water too much, so I burned the yerba. And I remember like when my mother comes, I show her very proud, and she say, "But you burn, like you don't feel like this is a very bad taste because you burned." But I don't care the taste. I just was proud because like, oh yeah, I did mate by my own.
I think that one of the most interesting things about mate in comparison to other, you know, drinking traditions is that it actually takes some time. It takes, you know, active awareness. It's not as simple as just going to a cafe and ordering something and then, you know, walking away and drinking it as you go back to whatever you're doing. You actually need to carve out a couple of minutes of your day at least to prepare it and then to drink it.
I don't know, like mate give you the space, I think, to perform a small ritual since very early, since you wake up, you know. Like my grandfather, like his family come from Spain, immigrants. Most of them, they were living in very poor conditions. My grandfather told me that he was a kid, behind the door there was like a pile of yerba, already used yerba, dried in the sun, and they move it during the day to dry it, and they drink like the same yerba like over and over over and over again.
What caused it to become the thing that everybody does. I suppose like in Ireland you could compare it to just drinking like black tea with milk. Like everyone just does it. I was gonna say it's maybe because it grows there, but like tea doesn't grow in Ireland. But I guess that's probably because of like all of the colonialism and just stealing everything from everybody else.
I think like every culture find their perfect excuse to meet and talk and do something in the meantime. In Middle East, like it's the coffee with cardamom. In South America, it's the mate, and like the general concept is like to hang out and talk about daily stuff. Like maybe they meet to talk about the war or the food availability, like before while they were drinking mate. So after that, I think like becomes like a tradition. Like let's do something while we are here.
In the age of drive-through coffee shops and fast food restaurants out the wazoo, we have totally forgotten about the reasons we did any of these things in the first place. Like it was to connect with people, it was to meet, it was to converse whilst doing something. But now it's like you're just rushing to get your coffee or whatever it is as fast as possible, so that you can drink it in your car by yourself whilst watching YouTube videos, just to caffeinate yourself enough so that you can go stare at a screen for 8 hours at work. And it's a bit weird if you think about it, how we've kind of gone from communal activities to isolated and alone with a machine. I think that these traditions are like companions. You know, maybe they don't speak to you with words or whatever, but they're there with you in that moment. And I think that it's really useful to honor what we're with, you know, rather than looking elsewhere, even though there's something right in front of us that we haven't truly explored or gotten to know. I think that's what we're always doing, is we're always looking for the next thing. But when it comes to like something like mate, it's like you need to give the mate your attention, because it doesn't just come out of a vending machine. If you really go back to the roots or the origins of any, you know, fast food or fast drink, there was a slow version of that. In getting intimate with the land, with the produce, with the traditions, we cultivate a deeper sense of connection to ourselves. And in doing so, we're able to show up in a more full and wholesome and complete way. Because instant coffee, I mean, it's fine, but like, nobody writes home about it. So take 5 minutes for yourself, slow down, chill, and really get to know the thing that you're doing. Because so many things, we just kind of race through them. And what's the point in doing something if you're not going to be fully immersed in it, if you're not going to fully commit to it? Because it's only in committing to things that we really show up in our best way possible. And that's what we ought to be striving for.